Welcome to Season 7 of the Getting Into Good Trouble podcast. In this series, we dive deep into global inequalities and help you understand the world's troubles.
In this episode, we will explore El Salvador's gang crackdown, what it's achieved, and what it's cost, especially when it comes to human rights.
We're your hosts, Ishan Mehta,
Andrew Liu,
Jackson Santi,
and George Stratton. In 2022, El Salvador began arresting thousands of people in order to combat gang violence. Today, over 70,000 people are in prison, many without trials.
Supporters call it a success story. Human rights groups call it a crisis. Before we talk about the crackdown, let's talk about the gangs. For years, gangs like MS-13 and Barrio 18 ruled over El Salvador. They had power over whole neighborhoods, they recruited teens, they made small businesses pay them money, and they used fear to stay in control.
That's why violence became so terrible. The gangs fought over territory. Many innocent people were killed. At one point, the country had the highest murder rate in the world.
People were scared to leave their homes. Doing simple things like going to work or going to school felt dangerous.
Then, in 2019, Nayib Bukele became president. He promised to fix the violence and take back control from the gangs. In 2022, after a spike in killings, he made a disruptive move. He declared a state of emergency.
That meant police could arrest people more easily and hold them longer without charges. Thousands of people were arrested.
The military started patrolling the streets, and the government built huge new prisons to capture the people they arrested.
To understand where we are, we have to look at what gangs like MS-13 and Barrio 18 were doing. They're terrorizing communities, attacking businesses, and making a fortune off fear and intimidation. These gangs were so violent that they murdered 87 people in one weekend. This led President Nayib Bukele to implement a massive crackdown.
That crackdown includes a state of emergency, mass arrests, military policing, and the creation of new mega prisons.
So while the government says these measures are necessary, what does this crackdown actually look like in people's everyday lives?
It has become very visible. We see arrests based on things as simple as tattoos, appearance, or even just where someone lives.
And it has led to the suspension of basic rights, like the right to a fair trial and the right to a legal defense. Families are often unable to even locate their relatives once they are detained.
We have to acknowledge the other side of this. Crime rates have dropped significantly, and many Salvadorians feel safer than they have in years.
Exactly. President Bukele is very popular domestically because the fear of gangs was so real and extreme for so long.
To better understand why human rights organizations are raising concerns, we spoke with someone who works directly in this area.
Before we begin the interview, we want to introduce Alicia Quinones. Alicia is an established journalist with PEN International, where she serves as the head of the Americas Division. She has written multiple articles on human rights in Central America, especially in El Salvador, and has been covering the region for several years. PEN International focuses on defending free expression and protecting human rights, which is one of the key topics we're exploring in this episode. Alicia's experience reporting on Central America gives her important insight into human rights issues connected to the gang crackdown.
Our first question is there any government violating the human rights by arresting people with almost no evidence? Or how do you see that?
The quick answer is yes. In El Salvador, there is a very particular situation, and the first thing that we need to raise is that 10 of thousands of people have been detained since 2022 under emergency powers aimed to combating gangs. So it was the main idea. But this arrest, it is also a reality, the lack of due process. So many arrests are reportedly carried out without arrest warrants. So it means that there is no specific or clear charges or evidence to charge people. So it is really important because this is the lack of lack of law, lack of human rights perspective that we need to have when we are applying justice or trying to find criminals. Even the people that you consider as the criminal ones, they have rights and they have the right to a due process when they are facing justice. So for that reason, it is important to have this in mind.
Yeah, you were kind of talking about how, like, you're afraid to, like, go and outside if you have, like, tattoos. How is that affecting kind of, like, the younger generation who are scared to go out and, like, do all this stuff because they're scared they might end up getting arrested and falsely accused of being in a gang?
imagine that we are living, well, not imagine, we are living in a society based on social media. So even these social exchange that are important, even to your life, to your knowledge, to your brain connections. So these are important. It's part of your access to the rights. So just to have access to just to share your life with other people. So I'm imagine that you need to be confined. Just to be closed. Just to be in your house, isolated, and that's not like the main goal of the security goal. Is for the security measure in any single society. You should be free to leave your house. So it affects in different ways. Your relations, your relationships, your relations with others, your friendships, your friends, the knowledge that you can share or exchange with other mates, other people, also the sports that you can join. So it changes the perspective of your life. So it is really important, even the knowledge that you don't have in school. There is a lot of knowledge that you will have from the ground, from the streets, that is not even available in the academia. So for that reason, it is important to enjoy this life out of your house, out of social media, out of the academia. So you need to mix that knowledge, and is the real knowledge that will give you a unique perspective of your life. So it's crucial for the people. So it will be one possible side effect for young generations.
So, do former prisoners face discrimination even if they were falsely accused or innocent?
So, well, when you are being detained under false charges, or the justice is not being able to really investigate what was happening, is a lack of due process in law.
Right.
So it means that who is failing is the judicial, is the justice, is the system. And obviously this is a human rights violation, that for sure. You don't need to be in prison because you haven't done anything, and the security, all the justice system should be able to evaluate this in a proper way. But if you are trying just to, arrest all the people because of their appearance, this is not justice. This is not a real social change. This is against human rights. But even if you are detained, even if you are guilty, the the judge should be able to access to all the proofs to really sentence someone. So that's the rule across the world.
Before we continue to focus on the criticisms, let's talk about some other aspects of the crackdown. For some people, the crackdown has changed a lot of stuff in El Salvador.
Since President Nayib Bukele declared the state of exception in 2022, crime rates have dropped significantly. The government reports that homicide numbers are at historic lows.
To understand why that matters, we have to remember what life was like before. Gangs like MS-13 and Barrio 18 controlled entire neighborhoods. Small business owners were forced to pay rent just to stay open. Many families lived in constant fear.
For young people especially, recruitment into gangs was a real threat. Violence wasn't rare. It was a part of everyday life in many communities.
Because of the crackdown, dozens of suspected gang members have been arrested. Supporters argued that this strong action was necessary after years of failed attempts of controlling gang violence.
And many Salvatorians say they finally feel safe. Some describe being able to walk outside at night without worrying. Others say their businesses are no longer being able to be attained by force.
President Bukele remains very popular domestically. His tough on-crime approach has earned strong support from people who felt abandoned by previous governments.
It's also important to recognize that the fear of gangs was real and extreme. Entire communities were shaped by violence for years.
But this raises a difficult question. Can safety justify the suspension of basic
Let's
rights?
zoom out. What does El Salvador's crackdown teach us about human rights during a crisis?
In El Salvador, emergency powers allowed the government to arrest tens of thousands of people. Many say it made the country safer, but giving the government this much power over time is extremely risky.
When large numbers of people are jailed, rules can start to change. Arresting people without strong proof or full legal rights may begin to feel normal because the goal is safety.
And that can set an example. If rights are limited once during a crisis, leaders in the future might do the same.
That's why human rights exist. There are limits on government power. They protect people, especially when fear and anger are high.
They aren't just for peaceful times.
Human rights are meant to protect people, especially when fear is highest.
So this question is, how do we keep people safe without slowly losing the right that protects everyone? Because once rights are taken away, it can be hard to get them back.
As we close, here's what we're left thinking. El Salvador's crackdown has reduced visible violence, but has also raised serious questions about justice, accountability, and human rights.
For many people in El Salvador, life feels safer today. That matters.
But tens of thousands have been detained under emergency powers, and human rights groups have questioned due process under Nayib Bukele's policies.
As students in global inequalities, this case has forced us to ask one question. How much freedom are people willing to give up in exchange for security?
Thank you for watching this episode of Season 7 of the Getting Into Good Trouble podcast. We're your hosts, George Stratton,
Jackson Santee,
Andrew Liu,
and Ishan Mehta.